Hey Web Divas! So today we are working on building a form, which is a really cool activity. I'm so glad you guys asked for this because it connects both HTML and PHP and is a really good way to kind of see how they work together and what each is for. So start out with, open up activity set 7, you probably already have it up, and choose a page that ends in .php. So I'm working with contact.php. It's important to choose a page that ends with .php because we're going to be using PHP. And anytime you're using PHP, you need to have it on a page that ends in .php because that's what tells the server that it should expect to do some work in PHP. And you can also have HTML in it, that's fine, but it definitely has to end in .php. So we've got our objective 1. I've got my page that's ready, contact.php. I've got the opening code that we're starting to use that's got the CSS linked right here. And it's got space for, it's got the header, it's got a body, and then it's got these closing tags, closing body and closing.html. So that's how we really want to structure all of our HTML pages from here on out. The next objective is to copy and paste this code, and so we will do that. So I'm going to click on this to just get the raw code, and then highlight, copy and paste. And so let's look at the code for a second. There are a couple of things to do here. First of all, I need to replace this email address with my email address. So I'll change that to katiebenedetto@gmail.com. And then I also need to replace this with the URL of my contact page, of this page right here. And so this is already my URL. You're going to need to change this to what your URL is. So this part right here is your username, your WebDivas username. And this part right here should match the file name up here, contact.php. So let's talk for a second about what this code does. This code right here processes what happens when somebody submits the form. So when someone has entered information and they hit send, this is what processes that. And this function, this is a function in PHP called mail. This is what actually emails me. Okay, and then so this is switching back to HTML down here. We can tell we're back in HTML because 1, these are HTML tags, and 2, the closing PHP bracket was done. So now we know we're back in HTML. This line starts a form, and this action right here tells the form to once it's submitted, once someone has pressed enter, go back to the same page, contact.php. This next line is what makes a subject. So actually, I'm going to save this and then load the page so we can be looking at the page while we're looking at the code. So look at the page. Cool. There's our page. So this line right here is what makes the subject field. And so here's the subject field on this side. And since I just submitted that form, I need to take out my email. Just archive that. It's not important for this video. But it is important that you see what email comes through. So we'll get back to that. Anyway, this is the line that makes the subject right here. And you can change this text if you want. This is the line that makes the message. So that's right here. And again, you can change that text. And this is the line that makes the send button. So you can change that as well. So where it says value, you can say send now, for instance. We'll save that. Refresh the page. And now it says send now. And that's that. So make sure you've switched out your email address. Make sure you've updated this action. And now the next step is to test the form. And I've got to clear out my email again because I keep submitting this form when I'm reloading the page. I can explain that later, but don't worry about it for now. Right now, our next goal is to test the form that we've done. So I'm going to enter a subject. So I'll say hello, and my message will be what's up. Send that now. And that's going to take just a little while to send to your email. So while you're waiting, get your email up and kind of be waiting for that email. And actually, this one happened really fast. It can vary, maybe a couple minutes. But this one happened pretty fast. You can see it's sent. The subject is hello, which was the subject right here. And the message is what's up, which is the message right here. And actually the reason the subject was hello was because I'm telling the mail function right here, and I'm going by this really fast. You're going to learn most of this by copying and pasting and changing and trying things on your own. But I want to just give you the quick overview. The reason the subject is hello is because we're using hello. This is the second argument of the function, and the second argument is what it uses as the subject line of the email. And for this, we're actually using the subject of the HTML form. And the same thing with the message. The third argument, which is just a piece of the function in between commas, is the message, and the message it's using is the message from HTML. That was a quick flyby. Now we're going to do some things that help us understand how the PHP and HTML are working. So we've done objective 3. Now we want to work with the PHP function that actually I was just talking about. So this is the function. First, find that in your code. So this is where it is in my code. It's a function that has 3 arguments, and so the arguments are katiebenedetto@gmail.com is the first, and so your first argument is your email address. The second argument is the subject, so that's a variable, and we'll learn what variables are. But you can tell it's the second argument because it ends with a comma. And then the third argument is message. And you can tell that's a variable because it starts with a $sign. So now we want to try changing the arguments again. We've already done this once by changing the email address. Now let's try changing the subject to some text. So instead of having this variable right here, subject, let's change that to some text. It needs to be in quotes. So I'm going to say a message from my website. And then save that. And now I want to see what happens when I test the form again. So you got to refresh the form. I'm going to refresh the form so I don't keep resending the form. I'm going to click in my subject, in my address bar, and press enter there. So I'll make the subject hello again, this time with an exclamation. Hooray! And the message will be, hey, what's up? Okay. So remember that. I need to wait for just a little bit for it to come into my email. So I'm paying attention to my Gmail right here just to see when I get a new message. And actually, I just got it again. So the subject is a message from my website. And the message is, hey, what's up? And so you can see the subject is what the second argument is right here. And the message is this part right here. So the message is a variable. And actually, one more fun thing you can do that's not in the activity set, but is fun to do, is to kind of see how this works, is you can change both the subject and the message. And so you could say, this is fun to play with. You can send as many emails as you want to all your friends to various email addresses right here, without actually using your Gmail at all. So I'll say, hello, Katie, right here. And then I'll make the third argument, which is the message. How's it going? And so I'm going to save that. And what should happen is it should send the first email based on the message that I send through the form. And then the second email is just going to send. And it's going to send without any, see, it doesn't have any variables in it because there's nothing with a $sign. It's just going to send with the first, it's going to send to the person of the first argument, which is katiebenedetto@gmail.com. It's going to send a message with the subject, hello Katie, and the message of the email is going to be, how's it going? And so, save that, make sure it's saved. Refresh this page. Again, I'm going to refresh actually up here. Click enter on the address bar instead. So I'll make the subject hello, and the message my message. Send now. We'll wait for it to send, and it already sent. And so I can see that I got 2 messages, and the first message is actually my message. I'm sorry. So the subject is a message from my website. And the message is my message, which is what I sent. So if you remember, my message is what I put in the text box, and that's the variable message. And then the subject is a message from my website. And now I got my second email as well, and it says, "Hello, Katie," which is, again, the subject that I put right here, and the message, "How's it going?" right here as the actual message. So you can play with that. It's kind of fun. You can send to whoever you want. So I could send to, say, we'll say laurasmith@gmail.com. I could just email whoever I wanted to. This is just like emailing through your regular Gmail, except you're doing it in code. So you can play with that to kind of see how the mail function works. For now, I'm going to take that out and get back to our form. So I'm going to go ahead and archive that. Archive all of these. And now I'm going to add a new item in the form to kind of see how that works. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add this line right here to add a first name. So there are a couple things going on right here. First of all, I've shown you the code that you've already got, which is subject equals request subject. You've already got that right here. And I've added a new line of code, first name equals request first name. So I'm going to copy just this first line of code because I've already got the second line of code. The second line of code is just there to show me where the first line goes. And so I'm going to put this up here. Cool. And now another thing to notice right here is that this is a comment right here. It starts with a slash slash. So anything I say, anything I do after a slash slash, PHP is not going to pay attention to. So this is really useful for what people call commenting their code, or putting in little notes about their code to explain what the code is doing. Because the more code you write, the longer your code gets, the more you're going to want to know, have notes and things to organize. It might be for you, it might be for other people you're working with. If you're working like on a job or something where people are working together on the same code base, people need to be able to communicate and say, this is what this code does. You know, some of it, the more you code, you'll be able to read it and understand right away, but some of it you need to comment as well and kind of give somebody a general overview of what's happening. And so this is a way to comment your code. That nothing happens after these slashes. The computer just doesn't pay attention to it. So that's just for your eyes only. It's not something that PHP is going to do anything with. And we've got the same thing in HTML. I'm doing these backwards, although you can do it in any order. Now I need to add the HTML that adds the first name. And so I'm going to copy this in. So I use these comments actually to show you what's new and what you already have. So this first line is new code for you. And the second line is code that you already have. And I'm using these comments. Comments look different in HTML. This is how a comment looks in HTML. It's got a starting tag, just like HTML tags always have, and it's got a finishing tag, just like HTML tags always have. So I'm going to copy in this new line. I know it goes above my subject because this code here is to show you where it goes. So I copy that in above my subject. I'm going to indent it out so that they're all in the same indentation. And I can take out that comment if I want. I can add a new comment. So this is my new line, for instance. So that's my new comment. Whatever you want to do, I just wanted to show you what HTML comments look like. And so this is what HTML comments look like. They start and end like this, and then you can put whatever you want in the middle as long as it's not a closing tag. And then PHP comments look like this. And so again, the purpose of a comment is just to be able to have notes in your code that are just for you, that are not actual code. Okay, I'm going to take that out now. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about what is going on with these variables and how they're getting pulled in. So this is our form. Actually, let's save this and look at what we did. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to refresh this page by clicking at the top of the address bar and hit enter. And the reason I'm doing that is so I don't submit my form again. So now I see that I've got first name in a field for first name. And so that's happening right here in the HTML code, because HTML is the code that displays things. So this is displaying first name, and then a text box, an input box for the first name. And notice that the name right here is called first name. Okay, Now how PHP gets the first name is this request first name right here. This first name right here needs to match the name first name right here, and that's how PHP knows to get that variable right there. And so I'm grabbing that variable, and a variable is like imagine a box. It can take on any value. Here it's taking on the value of what the person entered as their first name. So the value might be Katie, Karen, Kathy, whatever someone enters. And so I'm saving that as the first name. Now I can submit the form, and I'll say, my first name is Katie. Hello, and how are you? Check back to my email. Wait for just a second to see if it will come through. There we go. And so I get a message from my website, how are you? I didn't get the first name. Why? Well, the reason I didn't get the first name is that my function right here, mail, it's sending to katiebenedetto@gmail.com. It's making the subject a message from my website, which is right here. And then it's making the message my $message value, which is the message from my form. So there's nowhere where I actually gave the function my first name. So I need to give the function my first name. So let's go back to activity set 7. The way we're going to do that is we're going to use the PHP glue, and PHP glue is a period right here. This is how you can copy and paste this right here. I'll explain how it works. I'm going to copy and paste that under my current mail function so I can see the differences. And so I need to change this again to my email address. Okay, so I'm saying a message from, and then I'm using a dot. This is the PHP glue, so this is how you put sentences together in PHP. So this says a message from dot first name, $ first name. $ first name is the first name that came through on my form, right here. And then I do another dot right here because that's the glue. And I want another string, which is a colon and a space, and then dot, and then the subject. So this may take some trial and error to kind of copy and paste and change around and see what happens, but essentially what's happening here is we're connecting the text that we want to write with the variables that came through. So this is, for instance, Katie or Kathy or whatever first name came through on the form. Okay, so save that. I'm going to refresh this page by clicking at my address bar and hitting return. I say my first name is Katie, my subject is hello, and my message is what's up. Send that now. Okay. And while we're waiting, oh, it already came through. Okay. Well, here it says a message from Katie. Hello. So here's why it says a message from Katie. Hello. It says a message from dot, which is the glue, and then $ first name, which is Katie, which is what came through the form, and then dot, which is more glue, to add a colon space, and then the subject, which is the variable that came through this as the subject, hello. Okay, this is a lot. It's really, really cool because we're connecting PHP and HTML, so I really hope you guys have a lot of fun with this. Go ahead and get started. If you finish all of this, the next step to see what you can do is see if you can add a last name to your form as well. We're going to be working on this for this week and next week, so if you have any questions, definitely let me know. Take your time, ask lots of questions, copy and paste, see how things work. Just have fun with it, and we'll be here to answer questions. And there we go. All right, bye.